being connected is a good thing. Unfortunately, the mechanism that's carrying that connection can be quite dangerous. And so the Institute of Heart Math is showing us that there's a better way to connect, and that's through the electromagnetic field. So it seems that as we increase our vibration, we become more and more connected beyond space and time, which is kind of neat. So there have been some studies done throughout the world now to confirm what Albert Einstein discovered and called spooky action at a distance. And what is spooky action at a distance is basically he used his mathematics to determine that things communicate beyond space and time, and are not limited by the speed of sound or light, for example. So he discovered that if you, for example, tickled a particle, its twin particle would be instantaneously tickled regardless of where it was in the universe. And he found that to be astounding because nothing at that time was known to be able to travel faster than the speed of light. So things that are quote-unquote instantaneous were not possible. But his math showed him that it was possible. He didn't delve too much into it. He called it spooky action at a distance, and he essentially just kind of left it alone and kept working on his other projects. But fast forward now to just a few years ago, scientists in China and I believe it was Switzerland conducted experiments to see if Einstein's spooky action at a distance was actually a real thing. Now we call it quantum entanglement, and we've done several studies now to show that, yes, in fact, it is a very, very real thing. These scientists basically took photons and split them and separated them by 14 miles. And they, quote-unquote, tickled one photon and observed the other photon and observed that it, too, was tickled instantaneously. In other words, not at the speed of light, but instantaneously. And, of course, the speed of light's pretty fast, but it's not instant. And so they confirmed in several experiments that this, in fact, was a real thing. And going back to the Institute of Heart Math, back in 1991 when Dr. Armour discovered cells in the human heart that were not necessarily heart cells but were closer to brain cells, that opened up a bit of a can of worms to show that, yes, the heart is actually the master thinking tool of the body and not the brain. And it was discovered from that time that the heart was sending 40 times more nerves to the brain than the brain was sending to the heart. And so the heart became kind of the controller of the brain as opposed to the other way around, which was what was commonly thought. They also discovered an electromagnetic field that emanates from the human heart that is 60 times to 100 times more powerful than the electromagnetic field emitted by the human brain. And there are ways to measure these electromagnetic fields. The acronym for the machine is called SQUID. And the Institute of Heart Math tried to measure the electromagnetic field of the heart, but it kind of maxed out the machine. And ancient traditions suggest that this field is infinite and that it cannot be measured, essentially, that it just goes on infinitely and that it connects everything in the universe and everyone. And so what the Institute of Heart Math is suggesting based on its studies is that this particular field is responsible for instantaneous communication. And they did some studies showing pictures on a computer screen, and people who could be trained to have their heart and brain in high coherence, in other words, to have the heart and the brain working, fairly perfectly in synchrony with each other, were actually able to predict the next slide that would be put up on the screen by about 6 seconds. And they found some consistency with these studies as they repeated them. And so the suggestion is that the electromagnetic field that emanates from the heart is infinite and outside of space and time. It's not limited by the speed of light or sound, and not limited by anything. And so this would be a better way to connect and communicate. And it's suggested that the doubling of the Schumann resonance and all of the changes going on today may be our path to that type of communication and that type of connection, as opposed to having to call somebody on a cell phone, for example. So it's very interesting and exciting information coming out of the Institute of HeartMath, and they are published in peer-reviewed journals, most notably Nature magazine. So it's really fascinating to go and look at these studies and to see that our modern science is colliding with our ancient traditions and corroborating, very much in sync with each other. So that's really good news. So in looking at, the doom and gloom scenarios that might be put out by the news and, that we may even be experiencing in our own personal lives, it's always good to be able to anchor to something that is real, and that gives us a more positive outlook, a more positive way to be, to know that, yes, we're going through rough waters, but it's just to get to the other side of the river. And that once we get to the other side, there'll be calm. So it's the storm before the calm, so to speak. And there are other peer-reviewed journals. For example, Nature magazine published an article in February of last year noting that geomagnetic fields do affect the autonomic nervous system. It affects our heartbeat. It affects our blood pressure. It affects our digestion. And so, again, in looking at HeartMath, the variability of the heartbeat is very much controlled or affected by the Earth's electromagnetic field. And so, again, this doubling of the Schumann resonance, or the tripling and quadrupling, if you will, of the Schumann resonance or the Earth's heartbeat, appears to be a way that we are going to be allowed to vibrate a little bit higher and higher so that we can reach a different, evolutionary place, so to speak, as a people, as a species, as a planet. So this is all really great news. So for more information, I would recommend that you visit heartmath.org. I train my clients at the Rio Bay Institute of Integrative Medicine in HeartMath, because I truly believe it's critically important. There is a good bit of data supporting this technology, and of course, ancient traditions support it very much. Our meditation techniques, many religious rituals, or spiritual rituals, I should say, corroborate and tap into what we're seeing today in our modern science. So coming full circle is very exciting. It helps to really calm the nerves, so to speak. When you turn on the news, you don't hear too many positive things, and so it's important to go back and look at what's real. What can we anchor to? What can we ground to? And grounding is a fantastic way to be in sync, to get your heart and brain to be synchronized with the planet. We know that we rely on the electromagnetic fields to function, and so grounding with the planet is a great way. Walking barefoot on the bare earth is a wonderful way to get into sync with the planet. It's very calming. It's great for health. It helps bring electrons into the body. Electrons are extremely important for our function. Helps reduce free radical damage, damage from stress. So very important to ground. A couple other things. We know that in studying brainwaves and how they're affected by the Earth's electromagnetic field, we know that we have our beta brainwaves, which are the quote-unquote stressed out waves. And then beyond that are the gamma waves. So we have this kind of chaos in the brain with a high vibration, and then all of a sudden we go into a gamma wave where the vibration's even higher, but there's almost a sense of complete stillness. And, master meditators, so to speak, are in gamma brainwaves. And so they're very high frequencies, higher than the beta brainwaves, which are the stressed out frequencies. So this kind of tells us that we have to go through this kind of stressed out phase as we're vibrating higher and higher to get to the more calm phase, which is the next stage in our evolution, where we will be much more deeply connected. We will be able to feel our wholeness and oneness with everyone on this planet. And again, that is very well predicted in ancient cultures, that there will be a time when this planet is at peace, and that we have to go through these rough patches before we get there. But meanwhile, how do we take care of our bodies? What can we possibly do? Because our bodies are supposed to be coming along for the ride, right? We're not supposed to allow the body to completely disintegrate and fall apart in all of this. And so, heart math is great as a tool, but it's just one tool. And so, what else can we do? What else can we bring to this equation, so that our bodies themselves are also, extremely healthy? And that's what we're going to talk about when we come back from our next commercial break. So you're listening to us live here on Dreamvisions 7 Radio. This is Awakened Wellness with Milen Riobe, MD. For more information, I encourage you to visit www.riobeintegrativemedicine.com. Riobe is spelled R-I-O-B-E. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Please give us a call at area code 833-220-1200. I welcome your questions and comments, and we'll be right back.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Milen Riobe, MD. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Time with live shows on the first and third mornings, when you can call in and ask Dr. Milen the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Milen is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit riobeintegrativemedicine.com. Dreamvision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show. If you're living with fear and stress in your life, there is an answer.
If you're ready for a better way, step through The Doorway.
The Doorway is a multimedia online course for transcending fear, transforming relationships, accessing inner guidance, and experiencing more inspiration and trust in your life.
To learn more about these online courses based on the teachings of A Course in Miracles and David Hoffmeister, go to acimcourses.com.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega's Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Stroll through the garden, relax by the lake, or try a daily yoga or movement class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
Edesia is a U.S. nonprofit dedicated to the dream of ending childhood malnutrition for millions of children around the world. Through the manufacture of Plumpy Nut and other nutrient-rich, peanut-based, ready-to-use foods, Edesia has already delivered life and hope to nearly 1 million children in over 26 developing countries. To find out how you can join Edesia's dream of ending childhood malnutrition, please visit edesiaglobal.org.
This is Dreamvision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to to Awakened Wellness with Milen Riobe, MD. I'm your host, Dr. Milen, and today we are exploring Is Your Body Ascension-Ready? So we talked a little bit about